Is Conor McGregor a keyboard warrior and troll? Conor McGregor, the OG of the fight game, but why did the usually reserved Khabib label him the greatest UFC fighter in Twitter history? With him in the UFC, we have seen it all. It all started when the Notorious One turned to the Mystic Mac, and finally the double champ. And now, finally, the return of the Mystic Mac is upon us. Following months of speculation, it was announced by UFC CEO Dana White. The Irishman will be facing Michael Chandler in his much-anticipated comeback fight at UFC 303.
Conor versus Chandler.
But the lengthy delays to the announcement did cause rumors that Chandler might not face McGregor upon his return, which was sometimes fueled by McGregor and his Twitter tantrums. In recent years, the Irishman's activity inside the UFC has significantly reduced, so Twitter, now X, has taken to the front seat with McGregor firmly in control by delivering ridiculous, outlandish social media posts. We've seen him in so many infamous Twitter battles that the majority have lost track. But how did we get here? How come a man once regarded as the face of the UFC became an internet troll spewing his unfiltered and outrageous posts, especially on Twitter? But before that, for more awesome content in the combat sports world, subscribe and hit the bell icon and never miss any bit of Sportskeeda MMA. Conor McGregor's brash and cocky personality has played a significant role in his superstardom. There's arguably no MMA fighter more accomplished or polarizing than Conor. From his humble beginnings in the working class streets of Dublin to his coronation as the undisputed king of the octagon, McGregor's journey is nothing short of legendary. It's a captivating saga blending equal parts grit, gravitas, and unbridled audacity. With his record-breaking UFC fights and a magnetic persona that captivates audiences worldwide, McGregor's imprint on the sport of mixed martial arts is indelible. The days of him being active inside the octagon seem a lifetime ago now, so McGregor has turned his attention to sparring on social media, which has touched a nerve in all walks of life. One of his most venomous posts was from April 2019. He uploaded a picture of Khabib and his wife on their wedding day. In the picture, Khabib's wife was covered by a veil. McGregor labeled her a towel. Later, he chimed in again, saying there was a goat under the veil. The now deleted tweet did not make a direct reference to him, but the fact that the Notorious had chosen to post it in response to a completely unrelated and old tweet on the deceased coach's death anniversary was villainous. This drew negative criticism from MMA fans. Khabib even referred to him as an old prostitute looking for attention.
He looked like old prostitute who want attention. You know, like old prostitute who want attention. His time is done. Just tell him.
Talk about the envy, man. McGregor has had a long history of objectionable social media posts. Most of the time it comes across as controversial and outlandish, but they inevitably generate hype around his fights and contribute towards making the fights a commercial success. But another bizarre Twitter feud came in September 2022 when he targeted Hasbulla. McGregor called the 19-year-old a smelly little inbred. The viral sensation, dubbed the Mini Khabib, is often seen with Khabib, McGregor's arch-rival. McGregor tweeted, "I'd love to boot that little gimp Hasbulla over a goalpost." This was strange, since both previously engaged in very light-hearted banter. Hasbulla later taunted the Notorious One by naming his newborn chicken Conor McGregor and posted the same on Twitter. McGregor's UFC slogan was once,
if one of us go to war, we all go to war.
And the MMA fighter has continued to evoke an imaginary beef every other week. Instead of his potential opponents, he's pivoted towards his adversaries both inside and outside the MMA world. At times, it may seem to ignite a social media angle for his return to the cage, but it gradually fizzles out when he hops onto another easy target. In the summer of 2016, about a month before CM Punk was set to debut for the UFC, Conor shifted his attention to the pro wrestling industry as a whole.
Real thing over here. I think these WWE guys think they are not right in the head, some of them. I mean, the new age are dweebs. Let's be honest here, they're absolute dweebs. But the old school guys are legends, you know.
Plenty of wrestlers ridiculed Conor for his views. WWE star Goldberg wasn't a fan of him and took a swipe at the Irishman, calling him a keyboard warrior who doesn't know what he's talking about. Even Randy Orton called him Conor McDonald.
Those WWE guys are straight I told you so, but
To talk smack about other sports was weird. Conor trolling pro wrestlers and slamming the whole industry was quite strange and out of order when he'd never been inside it. Well, Conor will again tweet about God knows what this time, but to keep updated with all of them, plus all the rumblings going on inside the MMA space, subscribe to Sportskeeda MMA. And don't forget to press like and share. Remember the GOAT, not John Jones, not GSP. Wait, I'm talking about the Russian Hammer, Artem Lobov, former training partner, the longtime friend of Conor McGregor. Lobov sued him for a share of Proper 12 whiskey. The charges were later dismissed by the court, and when things went south with him, he didn't let him pass either. After which, Conor posted a recording of himself singing
Artem is a rat.
Even UFC panelists reviewing the fights inside the octagon are not safe. When Anthony Smith hinted that McGregor may not be in the USADA testing pool, but keeps on talking of a comeback, that was a valid point. He was the only fighter listed as active on the UFC roster who has not been tested in 2022. A furious McGregor in response tweeted, "The audacity of this loser. You're a loser." Later claiming that he was clear for testing. Surprisingly, he didn't delete the tweet later. In July 2022, having been in rehab after his leg break, McGregor went in search of another beef. Lightweight fighter Rafael Fiziev invited McGregor to come hang out at Tiger Muay Thai and train a little bit. McGregor took this as a shot and went wild with it. Later tweeting, "You little bend back nobody." McGregor cleared the air later by clarifying that he wasn't trying to disrespect Fiziev, but Ataman should not disrespect him either and agreed to come train in Thailand. Later the same year, upon seeing his former rival Jose Aldo take on Jeremy Stephens in a boxing bout, McGregor had a wild idea. "Me and Aldo should box," he tweeted. After filming for The Tough Show was done in the summer of 2023, he ridiculed some of the big-name trainers in the MMA space. In a series of since-deleted tweets, the Irishman viciously insulted MMA's top coaches before indicating the supremacy of John Kavanagh's training methods and how they allegedly helped him become the winning coach of Tough 31. Rarely goes a day when we aren't talking about a tweet from the Notorious One. While we all love his quick wit, the majority aren't a fan of his social media antics. Strangely enough, in late 2023, he got into a beef with Scott Moore, an autistic battle rapper. That was uncalled for. Scott later described him as a pathetic human being and a keyboard warrior after he called out Conor's anti-immigration tweet. For the last 2 years, he flirted with the idea of fighting Michael Chandler. Consistently enough, he goes on tweeting the date, the weight class, and other stuff related to Chandler, while it's now been confirmed that his next fight will indeed be up against Iron Mike.
If I told you what weight it's gonna be, 184.
You want to do 185? I'll do 185.
You'll do what you're told. I'm gonna pin you.
On New Year's Day in 2024, McGregor announced that the greatest comeback of all time will be at UFC's International Fight Week in Las Vegas.
The greatest comeback of all time will take place in Las Vegas for International Fight Week on June the 29th.
Now that the UFC has announced it, this seems a chapter that can be closed real quick. However, Conor is skilled enough to find another angle to this and twist it enough to get the media in a frenzy over the fight. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that Conor McGregor is someone who cannot be ignored. He has an aura, a mystique about him that comes along once or twice in a generation. Nobody can deny that he's the biggest draw in the history of the sport. He's gone from debuting on the Facebook prelims of a UFC fight night in Sweden to selling out multiple arenas in not only MMA, but boxing. He's remained front and center throughout his UFC tenure. His out-of-the-box trash talk helped expedite this epic rise to the top of the game. But time after time, he's gotten involved in bitter social media exchanges that have turned out to be nothing. Conor McGregor arguably reaches a new low every time he's active online. A little bit of fun and banter back and forth is always healthy, but then comes the nastiness and this hatred for people, which often fuels division in society. He seems to cross all boundaries when he's on the platform. McGregor's fame these days is often reduced to spouting offensive guff on social media. Just over 6 years ago, he was inside MSG making sporting history. These days, he's reverted to posting and then deleting Twitter posts, harsh but mostly fair. All fight fans are awaiting the return of the notorious Inside the Octagon. Well, now we know the date, the time, and the place of this massive bout. But in case you're wondering what he's up to before the fight, hey, just hop on Twitter and you'll see any day, anytime. So there we have it, folks. What do you feel about Conor and his antics on Twitter? Drop them in the comments, and I'll see you for the next video.